using your body and your mind and your breathing all together. And so it creates that mind-body connection that a lot of people don't have. You're usually, like mentally learning something, or you're physically working out at the gym, but those two connections of having something kind of long to remember, but then also that breathing, it is moving meditation.
Yes.
And that is my favorite part, is moving meditation.
Keto can be hard. Tabulating, measuring, baking, taking 3 months to perfect one recipe, and to mixed reviews.
Did something die in here? Oh, I think it moved.
And by that point, you give up your diet, find a dark corner, and stuff yourself with sugar, carbs, and regret.
This, isn't what it looks like.
Well, this is where Keto Chow saves the day. The easiest, tastiest, ketoist meal replacement on the market.
It's like ice cream melted in my mouth.
Yes, but melted ice cream with all the protein, nutrients, vitamins, and electrolytes your body needs.
Oh, that's cool.
And with 3 starter kits, each with restaurant tips, keto food guides, and a ton of flavors to try, your taste buds and your waistline will thank you.
Thank you.
So grab your starter kit today at jimmylovesketochow.com.
It's so easy.
Keto Chow. Make keto easy.
All right, so I'm going to pick your brain a little bit of some things that have always been curious about martial arts for me. Why, when you do the punch or whatever, why are you? What does that do? What is the purpose?
There's a lot of purposes for it. It's called a ki. So it's a spirit yell. It's a way of centering all of your energy into a small point. It also stiffens your body in order to take impact. And so the time when you're most vulnerable to being hit or kicked is when you're attacking, because you're open. So you have to be tight when you're open, which is the backwards of yoga breathing. And so it's the complete opposite, or the yin yang to it. So that's what that yell is really for. Plus, it's makes you feel so good.
I was going to say, that was always my favorite part when I was in karate, was when I got to go, ha, or whatever.
And the kia is something that grows with you too. Because I remember my first day on the mat, my sensei was trying to get me to do the yell.
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, you feel silly, So my little guys would be like, Aya. And she said, imagine that your son's name was Aya, and he's running out into the street about ready to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
How are you going to yell him? Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's weird at first until you feel the exhilaration from it, and then you're like, I want to do that again.
Absolutely. And then my students need to be trained to do it correctly.
Yes.
And so just like we're top breathers, they'll start yelling from up here and become hoarse. Yeah, where it really should come deep down from, your diaphragm. No.
That is a self-correcting thing very quickly.
Very much so. So a lot of us with the mindfulness is visualization.
Yes.
And so even in Qigong that I teach, which is kind of like Tai Chi, under the umbrella of Tai Chi is under the umbrella of Qigong, is visualizing health and healing. And so that's something where you can take your mind and visualize your body actually getting stronger or better, or feeling more calm, for sure. And just like, top athletes will visualize their perfect game or their perfect,
Yeah, when like basketball players, they see the ball go in the hoop before they shoot it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm always telling my students, speak what you want, not what you don't want. And so it's very common for new students to be on the mat saying, oh, this is hard. I can't do it. Like, that's not allowed in my dojo. So they'll hear me say 100 times, speak what you want, speak what you want, speak what you want. No.
Yeah, manifestation is a real thing. And I've actually gotten into that myself in the past year with all the everything happening. It's like, all right, I'm tired of the world coming to me. I want to go to the world and say, this is how it's going to be. This, and like manifest things. And by golly, a lot of them have happened, and a lot of them are in the process of happening. It's amazing how powerful that is.
Absolutely. So I really liked just to switch it up a little bit. I really liked your challenge for everybody. that's really perfect. And when you first said about your 100-day challenge, I was like, oh, my birthday's in February. I'm kind of doing the same thing this year as well.
Yep.
And so I've got a lot of hacks that I'm continuing to use. And so I really, thank you for helping many, many people along their journeys to getting, whatever their goals are, for sure.
It's fun. Like she's referring to my sabbatical to 50, you guys. And so I'm on this 100-day journey. And as of today, it's 52. But on day 50, I was like, all right, guys, it's your turn. You've watched me for a long time. Now it's your turn to kind of challenge yourself. Because honestly, martial arts is just about challenging yourself to do something that you didn't think you were capable of. And then when you do the thing that you don't think you're capable of, Padme, that does amazing things for this.
Yes, and that's changed so many of my students, for sure. And it's those baby steps. So you started as a white belt, and all of a sudden, if you don't quit, attitude and effort, you're ready for your black belt test, and you look back and, how did I get here? Oh, yeah. I just didn't quit, and I had the right attitude, because attitude is much more than aptitude. Students that come in who, oh, I've got this, they're physically, excellent and can, drop down and do 100 push-ups right away. They're the ones that will probably get bored and they'll quit. Whereas people who need that challenge, so the shyer people,
yes.
people who are struggling with maybe a social, distortion or emotional difficulties or behavioral difficulties, they're the ones that need that little challenge and need somebody who's there to uplift them,
yes.
there to let them know that you are on the path. There's process.
Yeah, going back to the Karate Kid, that's what the main character was all about. He was the kid that really didn't fit in and needed to kind of have purpose, and then he found a sensei that could help him find that purpose through very unorthodox ways. I mean, that's why that movie resonated so much, is people could see themselves. Danny was that the character's name in Danny, and so yeah, it's amazing how something like that can inspire someone like yourself of, oh, I remembered Karate Kid as a kid and then I wanted to do it, and now you can't get enough of it.
I'm completely surprised at the person that I am today. I mean, I'm happily surprised, and is my passion, is my reason for being, is to help others.
Yes.
And so that is my everyday. And I instill that in my other students as well. So I don't only have the really shy, unsporty type kids, but I'll also have some that are a little bit more pressured to succeed by their parents.
Yes.
So they have that high anxiety of doing really well. And those are the ones that I get to guide into helping others. And so they're the perfect ones who are like, yeah, I'm ready to help because I got this. And then they get to help that next person. And then I'll take the other side, the shy people, and have them help the person. And so that socialization of being a helper, being an assistant, being a model for the next student helps people to rise above.
You know what I love about the fact that you have this legion of students? You're kind of a tiny woman. I remember I'm 6'3", so I towered up you. Give you a hug, and I felt like I enveloped you, not knowing you could probably kill me at that time. I didn't realize you were into martial arts at the time. But you see students come in and they're, oh, I'm too tiny, I'm too weak, and you're able to say, hey, look, I'm tiny, but I'm strong, and I'm able to be strong, not just physically but mentally. And if you're strong from within, it doesn't matter how small you are, how diminished you think your abilities are, you're strong too. I love that. I'm sure that relates to a lot of your students.
Yes. Self-efficacy is a big deal in the martial arts. And so the belief that you can actually accomplish something. And it's my job to give them those little, I challenge you to do this. I never say, okay, we're going to do this really tough thing. It's always going to be a challenge. Who's ready for a challenge? And they might be like, I'm like, can you do 5? Can you do 6? Whatever the deal is. And or get them in front of our class to show something. I mean, that could be the challenge. Little growth day by day, and praise them for it.
Yeah, I love that. And the reinforcement, and that goes back to the family aspect you were referring to earlier. I had a niece at one time who was into karate, and every time they'd go up in belt or they'd accomplish something, everybody would cheer, everybody was encouraging. And yeah, there's just something about camaraderie that fuels people. And so, yes, it's an individual sport, but that camaraderie is what makes the individual succeed. So really, is it individual at that point? I think it's group at that point, but not traditional like basketball,
Yeah.
something like
Well, we
that.
all have common goals because we're
Yeah.
all reaching for the same belt. We
Yes.
might have different reasons why we're there, but we're struggling doing the same thing. And that's why I love families that are training together.
Yes.
And so I have a big group of families. My son trained with me. And it's very important for your kids to see you struggle, fail,
Yeah.
succeed at the same thing they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's very bonding.
Ha ha, you can't do it either, Dad.
Yeah, right?
That's what I would have done as a kid if my dad was along for the ride. So
Well, then I also have to have the parents realize they're not 12 anymore.
no.
You know, don't be your 50-year-old self thinking that you're a 12-year-old trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
turning 50 here in a couple months, and I'm like, I can already notice some physical limitations that I can't do anymore. But then, like, I'm stronger mentally, so I can like overcome the challenge of that. So whereas the kids might be physically able, but then they're not mentally strong enough. So there's the yin and yang.
Yes. My older students, definitely, I have to pull them a little bit more to the 80%, only do 80%. And then you'll be, nice and strong. If you're not feeling it,
Yeah.
don't ego yourself. We are a non-ego school. You can't do that. You're going to break things. You want to continue training for the rest of your life. You don't want to break yourself. And so you do you is what I'm always saying to my adults. Oh, I'm feeling this. You do you. Oh, you need a stretch here. Let's stretch. We want to push you that 1%. We don't need 100%.
Well, then you have those personality types that are like, go, 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 go. And then you've got other ones that are more passive. So like you've got to read the room and kind of determine, okay, what kind of personality are we working with here? Are they somebody that if I tell them to lift 5 things, they're going to try to do 50 things? Okay, that's the person I need to tame down. And then another person maybe not, would only do 1. And then, oh, no, I need 5. I need at least 5. Do 5. Please do 5. And yeah, so that's got to be a fun little challenge for you.
Well, the process is built in to the martial arts. And so as a white belt, we're not going to challenge you as much as upper level belts. And so the amount that's required for white belts is small. And then the next belt adds on and the next belt adds on. And that's how you become much stronger. Is I'm not going to tell a white belt they need to fix 20 things. I'm going to give them one thing to focus on. And then at the next belt, they're going to add on. They're going to perfect that one thing, add a new thing, and so on and so forth. To when you're going for your black belt, I'm going to give you every single critique there is out there because you're ready for it. You've been critiqued, slowly, more and more along the way. And that's when black belts are formed. Not from black belt, but from white belt.
Well,
So
and look,
people say,
that's the prestige, is getting that to that black belt. And once you're there, you can't rest on the laurels of your past success. You kind of need to say, okay, I'm going to push myself to show and I guess prove my worthiness of that black belt.
Mm-hmm. And along the way, they also give back. And so at each belt level, I request a little bit more of being a model for the students that are coming behind them, which makes, of course, you feel really good. It makes you want to do right.
Yes.
And we don't only talk about this being inside of the school. You take all of this outside the school. So if we're talking about gratitude, we're not just talking about gratitude inside of the dojo. It's like, what are you doing at school? What are you doing at home? Because all the life lessons must go outside the walls.
Look, otherwise, what's the point? Like, it's cool to have it in the class, but if you can't take those lessons outside the class and apply them in your life, it is what I like about organized sports, because a lot of kids that get involved, especially in organized sports, tend to kind of fall into life a little better. You have kind of a natural network of people within that sphere of that organized sport. And then those connections stay into, say, college, and then move on into adulthood. And so I mean, it's very beneficial, but the same with what you're doing. You've got all those connections, and yeah, you would hope it would go well beyond the martial arts aspect of it. The mental health changes, the mindset